The slow, painful, and greedy death of Angry Birds. The vid didn't say "and" in the title, but I'm not about to yap to you. I'm gonna start the video because that's what you came here for, didn't you? Let's go.
Back in 2011, Angry Birds was everywhere. They had multiple different games, toys, and movies, generating hundreds of millions of dollars. But by 2019, they were firing masses of staff, and since then things have only gotten worse. Perhaps it's just karma for stealing the initial idea. Angry Birds wasn't an original concept. In April 2009, a game was released named Crush
I remember
the Castle,
Angry Birds was
which
out,
required
bro. Oh
players to
God.
fire a trebuchet into wooden structure hiding medieval people. Well, 8 months later, in December 2009,
I was
game
playing this on
developer Rovio.
Bro, this shit came out so long ago. I was playing this shit on an Android with the battery in the back and the case. But nigga, if I drop my phone, my fucking phone would collapse into Lego pieces.
Made an
That's how
app
old
named
this shit
Angry Birds, which, while
I'ma just
clearly
get my
being a
simmer
rip-off, was better in
shit
every
right.
way. It had cooler, cleaner animated graphics and different stages, each with different levels.
It's only gonna be
You
fun
got
for
points
like
for every enemy killed, and points for
30 minutes,
every
and then
bird
it's
you
gonna get
didn't
bored.
use, giving players the chance to compete for high
But-
scores. Throw in 5 different birds with 5 different abilities, as well as a cool, catchy soundtrack, and it's easy to see that Angry Birds was better. They'd developed 51 games prior to Angry Birds, none
They
of
made
which saw
movies
even
off
the
this
smallest
shit.
bit of success.
All
Therefore,
types of
when
shit came
Angry
from
Birds
this.
took only 2 months to become the #1 paid app in 60 countries, they understandably took the chance to milk it. They'd make loads of different varieties like Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Space, and Angry Birds Star Wars,
Yeah, when they start
helping
making
it become the
variations, nigga,
#1
dropped
paid
it.
app in Apple's App Store with
Dropped that
6 to
bitch.
7 million paid downloads. By the end of Angry Birds' first year, they'd made $10 million US, but players still demanded more. We have so many fans who have asked for the plush toys, so these are going to be available in a couple of weeks. And we're really trying to build Angry Birds into this entertainment franchise.
Titan 6
It
is
took
better
only
for sure.
4 months
Way
before
better.
that
I
announced
have it.
60,000
fire.
Angry Birds soft toys have been sold, as the game itself became the best-selling paid app of all time. Within Angry Birds itself, they'd implement microtransactions like Mighty Eagle,
What the
which
fuck
allowed
are you
players to
buying
pay to
on?
clear entire levels. With
Niggas is paying to buy an eagle to clear the level on the Angry Birds, nigga. It's Angry Birds, nigga. Are you missing your thumbs? You missing fingers? Are you playing with your fucking tongue?
celebs like Justin
The
Bieber
fuck?
even advocating for it. Angry Birds made $100 million in 2011 and went from 28 employees
Oh
in the
my God,
beginning of the
100
year
mil? And
to
they firing
224
niggas?
employees by the end of 2011. 5 months
try to
later,
keep
they
as much
set a
money as
new
possible.
world record. First mobile game series to reach 1 billion downloads. They'd double their revenue again by the end of 2012, at which point they started to face a serious problem. The
What's the
game was
problem?
getting stale. They'd made multiple different Angry Birds
No shit,
versions,
you're launching
but
a
hadn't
bird
changed
at
the
blocks
concept in
to
over
knock out
3
pigs.
years. As a result, in the following
shit.
year, their profits more than halved, with Angry Birds falling to 59th in the App Store,
You can only
forcing the
innovate so
franchise
much
to
on a
try
shit
a new
game like
format. They'd release Angry Birds Go at the end of
Driving? Are you
2013,
shitting me?
and while this was
A
somewhat
Mario
of a
Kart
Mario
Angry
Kart
Birds?
ripoff, people absolutely loved it.
So I mean, it's fun.
Get
It
the
is
fuck
good
out of
fun.
here.
It looks good. It plays
Who's
well.
having fun on
Professional
this, nigga?
reviewers
Get
gave
Mario
it
Kart.
7.7,
Not
while
bullshit.
people on Reddit called it their favorite Angry Birds
Fuck
game
playing
and
this shit,
perfection at
a
its
fucking
finest.
toddler with Down
Rovio
syndrome,
therefore
nigga?
continued to
Get that
experiment,
nigga Mario
releasing an
Kart.
RPG game named
Fuck.
Angry Birds Epic, which again received incredible reviews, reading, "The latest Angry Birds title is a welcome addition to a franchise which hasn't seen much change since its inception back in 2009.
What are they gonna change? They're
Similarly,
gonna launch
users
that
said it
nigga
might be the best RPG
with a
title I've
RPG?
ever played.
And honestly, a pretty
Instead of
solid
a
time. I
slingshot?
think the approach they went with here really worked and paid off.
The only problem
Turn-based, I can
was
see that
these
working.
games didn't sell merch like the original Slingshot format. Therefore, merchandise sales plummeted, while total 2014 revenue dropped, and profits fell 73% to 10
God
million euros.
damn.
As a result, media
Oh,
outlets
euros, I don't know what the
reported
fuck that
Rovio
is.
lays off 110 people
That could
as
be
Angry Birds high
100K for all I
pays,
know.
representing 14% of the company's workforce. workforce. They tried to fix their decline with yet another experiment,
Oh, they tried to make
Angry
a
Birds
Bejeweled
Pop,
and shit.
which was pretty unsuccessful. In a Reddit thread asking out of all the Angry Birds games, which one do you think is the worst, Pop was mentioned many times over. Therefore, they'd go back to basics and put out Angry Birds 2, the official sequel, although many called it a downgrade from the original. The sequel was filled to the brim with microtransactions, clearly annoying the fan
What the
base who
fuck are you
wrote,
buying
"This is
on
a
this
very
game?
greedy game
Why?
that keeps sucking money out of you. If you play well,
That's
the
why I
game
hate mobile
becomes harder and
games.
harder until it's impossible, and
And
then
make
you
it
either have to
impossible for you to
replay
progress
each
until you
level
pay
10
shit for shit,
times,
or you gotta
buy
replay shit until you
gems.
can
The game is
get
just
up
trying to
enough
throw
to
you
play
off balance and
with
get under your
ease.
skin
Yes,
so
it
that you pay more. The official IGN review said the game took significant steps backward for the massively popular series. Angry Birds 2 is missing key parts of what made previous games so universally compelling to gamers both hardcore and casual, young and old. Still, due to its intense monetization, Angry Birds 2 became their highest earning game. Surprisingly, however, that very same year, they'd announced losses of almost 15 million and would fire a further third of their workforce, this
Damn,
time
nigga,
being
just
over
fire
200
everybody at this
people.
point.
This
You're
seems
making
to
a game
imply
with
that
fucking
Angry
birds
Birds
getting
was
launched
dead
and shit.
until they'd
Nigga,
make
fuck
an
you, need 10
unexpected
people for that.
comeback. Turns out they'd spent the previous 3 years
fire all 10
overly
of them niggas
developing the
anyway.
Angry Birds movie. At a
Did
cost
this
of
movie flop?
73 million, they'd made a risky
remember. Did it do
bet,
good?
but with a star-studded cast and a fun little story, the
Danny
Angry Birds
McBride was
movie
on
did
it.
surprisingly well. It made over 350 million from its
Damn.
70 million budget and put Angry
That's a
Birds back
hit.
into the public spotlight. People began replaying their previously released games, while Angry Birds theme parks popped up in different countries. Media outlets reported
Didn't they make a
Rovio
2? I
Games
know
had
that
its
shit
best
flopped.
year ever in
I know 2
2016. However, the gaming releases that Angry Birds was known for was still declining in quality. In his video, I played and ranked every Angry Birds game so you don't have to, Jake Miller talks about Angry Birds Action.
Angry Birds Action was the start of using the new anthropomorphic designs from the movies
Who
in the
forced
game, which I think
themselves
most
to go
fans
through this?
agree was the real beginning of the end for the
Why
series.
would you
Which
do
happened
this?
to be the first game after the
would
movie.
you ever do this?
Similarly, in the Reddit thread asking about the worst Angry Birds game, one user implied it was most of them after the movie's release. Said games included Angry Birds Fight,
I'd
aka
rather
a Candy
fucking
Crush ripoff, as
blindfold
well as
myself
Angry
and
Birds
eat
Match, which was
objects
described as extremely
that I
bland.
know-
However, thankfully
I know
for
are
Rovio,
crazy
their
shit.
older titles were still extremely popular, with Angry Birds 2's revenue growing 47% in 2018, despite it being over 3 years old. This gave them the budget to make a second movie. However, their $65 million bet didn't pay off so well this time. Forbes wrote Angry Birds 2 is worse than the original in nearly every way, whilst Rotten Tomatoes critics added, a distressingly ineffective sequel that grows less and less interesting and more tiresome as it unfolds. Still, the movie
Bro, how do
made a
you
profit of
innovate on a
82
shit
million,
game like this?
right as the company was making some weird changes. Despite
Wait,
their older
the
games
second
being
movie
low
got that?
maintenance, Rovio decided to completely stop updating them. Then, without explanation, some of the older beloved titles,
Got
including
removed.
the original Angry Birds, were deleted from the App Store.
I remember
when
this, they got
people began to
deleted.
talk about what they'd done,
They
people made
deleted, like, Flappy
compilations
Bird
stating
and shit.
Angry Birds was dead. There were comments like,
that
remember
nigga
when
killed
Rovio
himself.
actually cared,
Flappy
whilst
Bird really
hashtag
killed
bring
himself,
back
so
2012
I
began to
forgot.
trend on Twitter. Things got so bad that Rovio apologized, stating they only did it as maintaining the highest quality of updates and live operations isn't possible with our older games.
Oh shit, they
In
tryna force
response
you to
the
play the shit ass
backlash,
Angry
that
Bird
announced
2.
they planned on redeveloping Angry Birds Classic,
tryna force you
which
to
was
play the new
re-released
shit.
on the
That's
App
all they were
Store in
trying to do.
2022,
And then make you pay
but at a
for it,
price
some
of
weird shit.
$199 with no
Niggas are
in-game
weird.
purchases. They
The
changed
fuck
Classic's name to Red's First Flight, making it harder to find in the App Store, thus prompting players to buy the
Fucking
newer, more
trash.
profitable games. This successfully fooled some people who struggled to find it on the App Store. However, others knew exactly what Angry Birds was doing. They got rid of the old ones so that you would have no other
Yeah, you have no other
choice
choice
than
but
to
to play
play
the
the
modern
modern Candy
trash.
Crush-esque games. They despised the games that made the company and so lost
Angry
its
Birds
spirit.
were-
Rovio basically
was
confirmed
my
this,
childhood.
openly stating they changed the name due to the game's impact on our wider games portfolio. They further requested that fans fans continue to bring that passion to our live Angry Birds slingshot games, such as Angry Birds 2. However, players weren't too happy. We hope those fans can continue to bring that passion to our other games, which have been designed to be more
You didn't
psychologically
put passion in your own fucking games. That's why you forcing niggas to play your new shit.
manipulative and stuffed with more microtransactions. Fixed it for you. The drama was so severe, it seemingly halted any future games, as Angry Birds Classic is still the most recent title, released way back in 2022. In 2023, Rovio was sold to Sega, although this has done little to fix their reputation. One recent tweet expressed, "I very much still love Angry Birds. That said, the current state of it is dog shit. My hope for the franchise is at an all-time low right now. I'll just continue to enjoy what I love about it, but it's sad to see what it's become. Despite everything, Angry Birds isn't finished, as they just announced they're making a third movie, although with the rest of the franchise in decline, its performance might be interesting."
You niggas always ruin a good thing. You had the Angry Birds original up, you took it down to force niggas to play the new shit. You know how weird that is? You know how weird that fucking... You talking about niggas have passion, bring it to the other game. You didn't have passion for the new shit, that's why no one wants to fucking play. Why do companies always do this stupid shit? You fucking ruined it, nigga. That's your fault. You deal with that. You deal with the consequences, nigga. But Angry Birds, it got boring to me after the first couple plays on that shit. I never just sat there playing Angry Birds, nigga. I was playing Fun Run with the guys. I was fun running Flappy Bird a little bit, but you know, I'll see you later. You play Angry Birds, you like Angry Birds. Bird is the word. Turd. I'm sorry.